Mills-Roberts had just come from helping British medics trying to sort out sick and dying concentration camp prisoners, arriving at his temporary headquarters, which had been set up in a restaurant in the town square at Neustadt. He was told by his staff that a German field marshal had arrived and was wanting to see him. That man was, of course, Field Marshal Erhard Milch, who had driven into the town under a white flag in his staff car, accompanied by some of his aides. Dressed in his full uniform and decorations, and carrying in one gloved hand his badge of rank, a field marshal's baton, not the heavy jewel-encrusted ceremonial baton used for very special occasions, but what is termed an interim baton, a more practical silver-topped ebonized stick that resembled a riding crop with a tassel. Göring was often seen carrying his Reichsmarshal's interim baton for everyday use. Brigadier Mills-Roberts was sat at his desk when Milch strutted in, a black leather greatcoat over his Luftwaffe uniform, interim baton grasped in his right hand. Mills-Roberts said nothing, and pointedly did not rise in Milch's presence, a military courtesy usually extended almost universally amongst friend and foe when it came to very senior-ranking officers. He spoke English, said Mills-Roberts, and his first words consisted of a self-congratulation that he had not surrendered to the Russians. In fact, he had been careful to move out of their area of occupation or influence and was glad to surrender to us. Mills-Roberts, in a black mood after his experiences at Belsen and Neustadt concentration camps, cut him off and asked him pointedly about the prisoners in the camp. Milch was apparently very surprised by this line of questioning, and also couldn't understand why Mills-Roberts was so upset. According to witnesses who were in the room, and from Milch's own diary, things soon became very ugly. According to Milch, he said that Mills-Roberts said to him, quote, "All German generals are criminals, murderers, guilty of the concentration camps, etc." End quote. And according to other witnesses, Milch retorted that he belonged to the Luftwaffe, and he had never had anything to do with the concentration camps, before adding, though this is highly contended, the following, in reference to the concentration camp inmates littering the town. Quote, "They are not soldiers, but Poles or Russians. They are not human beings by our standards." End quote. Some have contended that the last line was made up after the events to provide some reason for Mills-Roberts' violent outburst that followed, and Milch gave the impression in his diary that Mills-Roberts needed no urging to start assaulting him. Whatever it was that triggered Mills' bomb, the brigadier went fully off and launched himself at the unsuspecting field marshal, in the process gaining for himself a place in military history, the only Allied soldier to have ever struck a German field marshal. In fact, Mills-Roberts set about not just striking Milch, but giving Erhard Milch a right royal British thrashing. During the exchange of words in the restaurant headquarters, Mills-Roberts had thumped an empty bottle of champagne hard on his desk several times to make his point while demanding answers from Milch, and Milch had apparently tried to seize hold of the bottle, presumably to stop the noise. Mills-Roberts at this point had leapt up, grabbed Milch's interim baton from him, and proceeded to beat him about the head with it. Milch was left bleeding from behind his left ear and the rear of his skull, and as the beating was administered, Milch shouted at Mills-Roberts, quote, "General, I am an officer, a field marshal. Are you not ashamed, General?"